Have you ever stopped to wonder why, we live in this time they call a golden age, supposedly full of opportunity, but so few people really seem to achieve what they dream of? It's something I think about a lot. So today we're doing a deep dive into something quite profound, drawing on the wisdom of Earl Nightingale and what he famously called the strangest secret.
Yeah, our source is his classic audio recording. And what's amazing is how it pulls together insights from, well, centuries of thinkers, philosophers, plus his own observations. It's really stood the test of time.
Absolutely. And our goal here for you listening is really to unpack the core principles behind actually achieving things. We want to help you see those patterns that lead to, well, a lack of fulfillment for so many. But more importantly, what concrete steps you can take, how you can tap into that potential you have and really reach for your goals. Okay, so let's just jump right in. There's a great quote from Albert Schweitzer, the Nobel laureate. Someone asked him, "What's wrong with men today?" And his answer was incredibly simple, just, "Men simply don't think." Makes you pause, doesn't it? What did he really mean by that? Nightingale backs this up with some pretty stark numbers. He says, take 100 men starting out at 25, full of energy, dreams. But look ahead to age 65. Only one is truly rich, four are financially independent, five are still working, and get this, 54 are broke. What happens to that spark, that initial drive and all those plans they had at 25? Where does it go?
It's a sobering picture, really. What hits me about those figures is the huge gap between what people hope for and where they end up. Yeah. It forces you to ask, okay, what's the fundamental difference? What separates that, top 5% from the rest? It suggests it's something deeper than just luck or circumstance.
Exactly, something foundational. And Nightingale offers this definition of success that I think is often missed. He says success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. The key part there is progressive realization and worthy ideal. It's not just about money. He gives examples, like a teacher who loves teaching because that's her chosen ideal, or a woman who is a wife and mother because she genuinely wanted that role and is doing it well, or, say, a guy running a corner gas station, not settling, but because that was his specific goal. Even a salesperson striving to be the best in their company. It's about moving deliberately towards something you've defined as worthwhile.
And right there, a major hurdle, often invisible, is conformity. Rollo May, this psychiatrist, put it brilliantly. He said the opposite of courage today isn't cowardice, it's conformity. This was what makes people just, well, act like everyone else without really knowing why they're doing it. And you see it reflected in those stats you mentioned, that out of 14 million Americans age 65 plus, something like 13 million are broke, depending on others. They've sort of conformed to the outcome of the majority.
It's strange, isn't it? We think we're individuals, but often we just drift along with the crowd. And here's something really eye-opening. A survey asked working men why they worked. 19 out of 20 had no idea. Their reason, basically because everyone else is doing it, just going through the motions. Wow, so Nightingale spent, 20 years searching for the answer, and he found what he called the key. The one thing that really determines what happens to us, and that key is goals. He uses this fantastic analogy of a ship leaving port. If the ship has a destination, a voyage mapped out, it will reach it, like 9,999 times out of 10,000. But a ship with no goal, no destination, it just drifts. It might sink or end up wrecked somewhere useless. It can't succeed because it doesn't know where it's going.
That's such a powerful image. And if you connect that to our lives, it just underscores the massive impact of having a clear target. Like that ship, we need a destination to guide us, to help us navigate day-to-day choices. Without it, well, we're just adrift, aren't we?
Exactly. And this brings us right to the heart of it, to the strangest secret itself. We become what we think about. Now, what blows me away is that all through history, you have these great thinkers, teachers, philosophers, prophets. They disagreed on so much. But on this one point that we become what we think about, they were all in complete agreement, unanimous.
It's remarkable, isn't it? And it raises that big question. Why does something so fundamental, so universally confirmed, still feel like a secret to most people? Maybe, just maybe, it's too simple. We like complexity, perhaps. We look for complicated answers, and the real truth is often just. Right there. Elegantly simple. Think about Marcus Aurelius. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Or Disraeli saying someone with a settled purpose must achieve it.
Right.
Emerson. A man is what he thinks about all day long. William James suggesting we can change our lives by changing our attitudes, acting as if it were already real. Norman Vincent Peale on positive versus negative thoughts. Shakespeare calling doubts traitors. George Bernard Shaw saying people make their circumstances. The list goes on and on. The consensus is overwhelming, yet somehow applying it seems to be the challenge.
So how does it work then? Why do our thoughts shape our reality? Nightingale uses another great analogy. The mind is like fertile land. Good, rich soil. Now, that land doesn't care what seed you plant. Could be corn, could be nightshade, a deadly poison. Whatever you plant, the land will return it, multiplied in abundance. It's that old saying, right? As you sow, so shall ye reap.
And our minds, well, they're far more fertile, more incredible, more mysterious than any piece of land. Nightingale even called the mind the last great unexplored continent on Earth, full of riches beyond our wildest dreams. And yes, it will faithfully return whatever we plant: success, clear goals, triumphant, confusion, fear, anxiety. It doesn't judge, it just grows what's sown.
Which leads to the obvious question. If our minds are this powerful, this unexplored continent, why don't we use them more effectively? Nightingale's answer is quite poignant, actually. He says it's because the mind comes as standard equipment at birth. It's free. And we tend not to value things we get for nothing, do we? We value things we pay for. But paradoxically, all the truly priceless things, mind, soul, body, hopes, dreams, love, intelligence, they're all free and irreplaceable.
It's that classic familiarity breeds contempt. It's right there, so we overlook it. And it's not just theory. Universities have shown most people only operate at about 10% of their mental capacity. Imagine that.
Under 10%. So, okay, how do we tap into the other 90? This is where Nightingale gets really practical. He didn't just talk philosophy, he gave a blueprint, a 30-day challenge, a test to put the secret into action based on Newton's law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You achieve nothing without paying the price. So what is this price? He breaks it down. First, you have to understand, like deep down, emotionally and intellectually, that we literally become what we think about. So controlling thoughts is step one, mandatory. Second, cut away the mental chains. Realize limitations are self-imposed. Opportunities, they're enormous beyond belief. You have to let go of those old restrictive ideas. Third, courage. You need courage to force yourself to think positively, especially about problems. To set a definite, clear goal. Let your imagination soar about solutions. Refuse to believe circumstances can beat you. Act promptly. And remember, you're always standing in your own acre of diamonds. The opportunities are right where you are. Fourth, a very practical thing, save at least 10% of everything you earn. Build that foundation. And fifth, maybe the most critical, action. Ideas are worthless unless you act on them. Thinking isn't enough. You have to do. Okay, so those are the principles. Now for the actual steps of the 30-day test. Step one, write down your single, clearly defined goal on a card. Be specific. A certain income, that house, success in your job, a harmonious family. Make it crystal clear, something you can visualize. Step two, carry that card everywhere. Look at it often, first thing in the morning, several times during the day, last thing at night. And when you look at it, think about it cheerfully, positively relaxed. Feel as if you've already achieved it. Step three, and this is vital, stop thinking about what you fear. Stop it. Every single time a negative or fearful thought pops into your head, consciously replace it with the mental image of your positive goal.
That takes real discipline.
It does. Step four, every day for these 30 days, do more than you have to. Give more of yourself than ever before. Know that your returns match what you give. Step five, don't worry about how you'll achieve the goal. Leave the how to a higher power, as Nightingale puts it. Your job is just to know where you're going, the destination. Step six, keep the words from the Sermon on the Mount in mind. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. A reminder of faith in action. Step seven, what if you slip up? What if negative thoughts take over during the 30 days? Just start again. From that point, go for another full 30 days. Persistence, he says, is just another word for faith. Keep going. And finally, step eight, just practically. Write the goal on one side of the card and that Sermon on the Mount quote on the other. Keep it simple. Keep it visible. It sounds so straightforward, doesn't it? But what's really powerful here is that this test gives you a concrete method. It's a way to actively reprogram your subconscious mind. It takes that abstract idea, we become what we think about, and makes it tangible through consistent, deliberate, daily effort. It's that deep internal shift that starts to create external results.
Exactly, that consistent action, that internal alignment. And, it's interesting how Nightingale then addresses something very common, this idea of just wanting to make money. He points out that, well, unless you work at the mint, you don't make money. The rest of us have to earn it.
Yeah.
And how do we earn it? By providing useful services or products that people need.
That's such a crucial distinction. It reframes everything. It's about cause and effect, isn't it? Success isn't the result of getting money. Money is the result of success. And success comes in direct proportion to your service, to the value you provide. He uses that analogy, like a man sitting before a cold stove saying, give me heat, then I'll put in the wood.
Right, it doesn't work that way.
Exactly. So put the fuel, the service, the value in first. Then you get the heat, the return.
Nightingale really hammers this home. He says it's a universal law. No man can get rich himself unless he enriches others. There are no loopholes. What you put out in terms of value and service is what you will get back. Always. It's a fundamental principle of exchange. And to kind of crystallize all this, there's more wisdom from a Dr. David Harold Fink, a psychiatrist, who laid out 6 steps that tie in perfectly. First, set yourself a definite goal. We've heard that before, crucial. Second, quit running yourself down. Stop that negative self-talk. Third, stop listing all the reasons you can't succeed. Instead, actively think of all the reasons why you can. Flip the script. Fourth, if you struggle with self-doubt, try tracing it back. Where did you first get the idea you couldn't succeed? Understanding the root can help. Fifth, change your self-image. Write down a description of the successful person you want to be. Visualize it clearly. And finally, sixth, act the part. Start behaving like the successful person you've decided to become. Embody that vision.
When you put those 6 steps together, they offer a really complete roadmap for that internal transformation we were talking about. It's not just surface level stuff. It's about intentionally reshaping who you are on the inside so you naturally become capable of achieving that worthy ideal you set for yourself. The outer follows the inner.
That really is the core message, isn't it? You pay the price by becoming that person. And you know what? It's actually not nearly as hard as living an unsuccessful life. That's the real struggle, the day-to-day grind without purpose.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we point fingers at external things, circumstances, other people for where we are? But this whole deep dive strongly suggests something quite challenging. Maybe you are where you are, because that is exactly where you really want to be, whether you'll admit that or not. It's a provocative thought. But what possibilities could open up if you fully embraced your role as the architect of your thoughts and therefore your life? It's both daunting and incredibly empowering.
So the invitation is clear. We genuinely encourage you, start your own 30-day test. Start today. Why wait? If you commit to living this way, Nightingale promises the floodgates of abundance will open and pour over you more riches than you may have dreamed existed. And he stresses it's not just about money, it's about peace of mind, leading to a calm, cheerful, successful life, however you define success. Honestly, you have nothing to lose by trying this, but you have a whole life to win.